Hello, this is Charlene Johnson, and I am known as Coach Charlene. But I wanted to come to you because of the times that we're living in. So I decided to do this video because I could not come to every staff meeting, but I do have a message for each and every one of you. And first of all, I want to thank Kathy for reaching out to me to just get perspective. And I think during the time that we're living in through this, um, just moved. We're still actually in the pandemic with COVID-19 and still traumatized by that in a sense. And then we have this huge injustice that everyone witnessed on national television, and it is angering everybody of all colors. So I was looking at a quote, and the quote says, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." So this is an important moment that we're in, and it's actually a season. And so, as an African American um, woman, I just wanted to give you my perspective. And the reason why it's important to allow perspective to come during this time is as if you are not an African American, you might not understand the rage and the anger and all of the different things that you've been witnessing. Not that they're right necessarily, but because of where people have been in their lives. So, as I even started my journey as a nurse, I experienced racism all the time. We actually grew up in an area that was half Caucasian and half Black. We didn't go on their side and they didn't go on our side. So that's how I started my childhood journey. And so at the age of 17, I decided to go into the military. And so I joined the military, left home when I was 18, and I was dashed into a huge culture shock because I had never been around different races, and it was full of a multicultural, multi ethnic group as soldiers. So we had to be converted from civilians into soldiers. And so at that point, we had to have each other's back because if you were out there on the battlefield, you have to be able to have somebody's back. And so I bring that up because I have had multiple times where racism has occurred. Now, on the other side of it, I have done a lot of work on myself, so I know who I am, and I don't allow people to steal power away from me, if I can say it that way. But it's important first to acknowledge that um, allow I think the first step in all of this is acknowledgement, and people are acknowledging finally that, hey, this house right here is on fire. I know that there's fires, but this particular house is on fire. And so when we get into the topic of Black Lives Matter, I wanted to bring a little bit of perspective to that, because if all lives matters, then we wouldn't have to say Black Lives Matters. It is very evident that there's a disparity there and that they do not matter. Okay, so when people combat that and they say all lives matter, you negate the fact that, hey, we're on fire right here and we need some help, and we want people to come help us in a sense. So I'm trying to kind of bring perspective, because sometimes you don't say the right thing, and it's really important during this time that I encourage everyone that's not walking in my shoes as an African American to connect with someone that can possibly give you perspective. And all you need to do, if you're uncomfortable, because that's the problem right now, people are uncomfortable with coming to each other, talking to each other, because they're afraid of what they're going to say, or if they're going to say the wrong thing, or if somebody is going to even want to be bothered with them. So I think during this time, I would ask that everybody be open to courageous conversations. If you are feeling a little uneasy, go to your brother and your sister and talk to them. Just sit there and authentically listen and try to relate to what I'm saying. So, stories are going to be a wonderful way that we can heal, meaning sharing stories to somebody who authentically listens to you They may not be able to understand because, from my perspective, I know that you'll never understand this path that I walk, and I'll never understand yours. But right now, I'm willing to share some of the stories that I experienced as I was going up through my leadership journey as a nurse and nurse leader. And so a couple of them is, and actually I might do a few more, but I'll try to be quick about it. So as a nursing student, I went and I was taking care of this elderly Caucasian woman. Her hair was all over her head. So one of my key things was to make her hair pretty so that she can, when her family comes, she'd be able to look good for them. And so I'm cleaning her up, I'm washing her up really well and doing my usual routine. And she had very long fingernails. And so as I was starting to wash her over her this frontal area, she grabbed my hands and she dug her fingernails in my wrist. And she said, "Hey, get your hands off of me." And she used the N word. Now, that was very traumatizing for me as a brand new student nurse getting ready to start my journey. And so this little voice over here on the side said, "Oh my gosh, just put this pillow over her head," which, I never do that. But then the angel in me said that could be your mom. So it totally brought perspective and showed me that I had to love in spite of. I had to take care of you in spite of, which all of us have to do when we step into the profession as a nurse. And so that could have stained me to the point where I didn't want to take care of people anymore, or I could have left the profession, or anything like that could have happened, and it could have wounded me so much that it would have stole power from me. When I don't know who I am, things like that steal power from me. But because I know who I am, because I know that I'm gifted and I'm called to the profession and I'm called to make a difference and I'm called to bring healing, then I kept on my journey. And so as I got ready to graduate nursing school, graduated, got a job at UCSF. I was hired immediately after into their new graduate program. And my first day on the unit, I mean, here I am. I got my whites on, I got my white clogs on, I'm excited. And then I go up to my unit, first day there, and I'm putting my things away. And this Caucasian woman, she turned around and she said, "Oh, you must be from housekeeping." And she had no idea that she had really said something wrong, or maybe she did. Maybe she had some implicit biases, some racism in her, and it just totally came out blatantly. But I continued to stay there, but I definitely recognized that there was some differences. There was minimal African American on the unit, and and so that was my world during that time. Did that stain me from keeping on moving forward? No, it did not. Because, like I said, it's about developing yourself into the best version of yourself. So I share that story to say that it's okay for us to share our stories. Do not get intimidated by it or afraid of it or feel uneasy about it. It is my journey, and my journey has inspired many people because although I've experienced so many more that I have not said, I keep moving forward. I still can be authentically there with you in every moment that you're in. I still can love and appreciate you as well. And so, my task for you is to first of all acknowledge that there is a problem, because there is. And all a lot of us need to know is that, are you with me and seeing this problem? You don't have to know what to say all the time, but are you with me? Can you see the injustice, and are you with me? And secondly, be open to have conversations that may feel a little uneasy and a little uncomfortable, but I encourage you to have it anyway. And the third thing is to check your own biases. Check out how you grew up. Look around you and see, do you notice yourself making comments that are inappropriate to make about anybody? Matter of fact, our words should be encouraging. If there's conflict, then there's a way to conversate about conflict. But to label, the human thing to do is to label And that label becomes a challenge because you start seeing everybody under this particular label, this tag, that this word that was put on, just like racism and, all of those things. So I would say check yourself to make sure that you don't have any of that in you that you develop throughout the years. And so I'm constantly doing that myself. And that's why I can walk around and I can truly and honestly love everybody that I come in contact with, even though they are not so lovely sometimes. I, as a leader, can love anyway, in spite of what's going on. Does that mean I'm going to be around a person that I'm not clicking with? Not necessarily, but you know who you are and you know who you choose to allow in your circle. So I hope that helps you. I am available for anyone if they want to talk, if they want to express, especially um, anybody. I'm just going to say anybody because I've been open to just have conversations about this so it won't feel such like a taboo. And so I appreciate you, Kathy, for allowing me to come in. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And Kathy has my information if you want to talk.